Okay, first things first. I'd like to bring in some AutoCAD to our Revit models. There's a couple different reasons why we would do this. One, the more popular one, is perhaps we have an architectural floor plan or something like that in AutoCAD that we want to link into Revit. We can do that. Another thing that'd be nice to do is we have tons of AutoCAD details that are probably set up over the years. We want to start getting those into Revit as well. Get them cleaned up and see how Revit works with them. So in Revit, on your models, let's start a new one. Let's click New. For the template file, let's click the drop down. I'll go Imperial Systems Template. Click OK. Perfect. In the project browser under Views, Electrical, let's go down to Power, Floor Plans. Let's double click on one Power. Let's go to the Insert tab. On the Link panel, let's click on Link CAD. We want to link it. That way, if the CAD's updated, it'll update in our Revit model when we reload it. Also, by linking it, it doesn't add a lot of file size to our Revit model. Let's browse to where we're keeping our exercise files. Go to Chapter 1. I'm going to grab Architectural Floor Plan Level 1. Now let's look at our settings. Since we're in Level 1, I want to make sure we only put it in the current view. It'd be confusing if Floor Plan Level 1 showed up on Level 2, 3, 4, 5, right? For the colors, click the drop down here. We could invert them, which makes no sense to me, really. We can do black and white if you plan to print it, or I'm going to preserve the colors here. For our layers or levels, if you click the drop down here, we can either go all, visible, or specify which layers are in here. I generally go with visible. Import units, now that's an important one. If you click the drop down, it's kind of a shell game. If you're bringing in site civil, usually that's going to be feet. In this case, I'm going to auto detect it and see if that comes in. Once it's in, we'll take some distances to make sure it's scaled properly. We can try to correct lines that are slightly off axis. For positioning, depending on where we want this to land, we can keep it on auto origin to internal origin. If you click the drop down, there's a couple different choices. Center to center is popular. Shared coordinates is if you're bringing in a site civil drawing. In this case, I want to keep it auto origin to internal origin. Now let's click open. Now if we hover over this link, we can select it. When it's selected, we can do a couple things with it. Notice that there's an import instance path. We could delete some layers that are in here. Or we can click query. Go ahead and click on the query button. Zoom into here and let's just select this grid line. It's a line, there's no block. The layer level is on S grid, style by object. Okay, we could delete it or hide it in view if we want, or we can just click OK. What I'd like to do though is make sure that I want to scale. That's why we have 12 feet here. Hit escape a couple of times. On the quick access toolbar, let's click on the measure between two references button. Pick a point along this line here. Just pick a point along this line here, and we have 12 feet. Make sure you always do that when you're importing CAD. Hit escape a few times. Perfect. Now what I want to do is look at the visibility graphics overrides of this floor plan. So in our properties, let's scroll down to visibility graphic overrides and click edit. Let's go over to imported categories. Notice that we have our architectural floor plan level 1. That's so we can override our lines. We can half tone it. If we drill into it, here's all of our layers. Right? So we can come in here and we can turn our layers on and off as we see fit. Or if we select any one of these layers, we can override that line pattern as well. Keep that in mind when you're bringing in AutoCAD. You want it to be nice and clean and you want it to look right. We won't change anything here. Let's click OK. Now what I'd like to do is just bring in a detail. To do that, we'll create a new drafting view. Let's go to the View tab. Let's click on Drafting View. For the name, we'll call it Cabinet. Now for the scale, again, like I mentioned before, it's a little bit of a shell game with AutoCAD. You need to know the scale you're bringing in. I happen to know that this sample is 1.5 inches equals a foot, so that worked out perfectly for me. Click OK. Let's go back to the Insert tab. This time I want to go to the Import panel. I want to import CAD. Let's select our typical base cabinet. In this case, for our colors, let's make those black and white. Layers, levels will be visible. Import units, we can auto detect that again. And for our positioning, let's go auto center to center. We'll choose center to center because we don't really have any coordinates here. It's just going to show in the middle of our view. Now let's click OK. If you double click the wheel button and type ZA, it'll zoom all. 26-inch deep. Of course, we're going to click on measure between two references. Pick a point here. Pick a point here. 2'2". Perfect. I don't really like to show the text coming from AutoCAD. So in this case, if we select our link, we could explode it. A lot of people are going to tell you how to do it, but I'm just showing you how. You could do a partial explode or a full explode. A partial explode would be if there's any blocks in here, they won't become exploded. A full explode, that's it. You just exploded everything. Put on the full explode. Oh dear. Now notice that the text is all disjointed. These are all lines. I would recommend that you delete all of this stuff and redimension it. For example, we can just swipe over this 26-inch dimension, hit delete, delete these items. Now we're going to go to our dimension button right here on the quick access toolbar. Linear 3/32, pick a point here, pick a point here. Right now that's a real dimension. If we zoom it to here, we can select this filled region. We can click on edit boundary. Now notice that we can fix that filled region if we want. Click the cancel edit mode button here. Hit escape a few times. There you go. That's how you deal with AutoCAD. The first thing we're going to need to do when we start any MEP model is we have to bring in an architectural underlay. What I'd like to do in this video is link an architectural model and then link in a structural model. So let's jump into Revit. On our models, we'll go new. For the template file, click the drop down. Let's go Imperial Systems Template. I'll click OK. It doesn't really matter what view we're in, but since we're dealing with electrical, we'll go to electrical. Let's go to electrical, power, floor plans, we'll go to one power. Go to insert. Let's go to link Revit. We're also going to keep your exercise files. I'm going to jump to chapter 1. Let's grab architectural. Now notice we have a lot less choices than we had with CAD because we're bringing Revit into Revit. It's apples to apples. Or the position is important. In this case, I'd like to go auto internal origin to internal origin, and we'll look at what that means in a moment. Let's click open. Now I want to select this model. Let's click on pin. That way we can't inadvertently move it. With the linked Revit model, architectural.rvt, let's click on edit type. Let's turn on room bounding. In a future video, we'll look at adding spaces, and this becomes important. If room bounding is not turned on, we can't add spaces and map out the rooms that are in the architectural model. Let's click OK. Let's hit escape a couple times. Now notice that it shows up as kind of an underlay element. To configure that, let's go to the Manage tab. Let's go to Additional Settings. Let's go down to Halftone Underlay. Now we can change this, right? So if we set our weight maybe to 1, we'll apply a halftone, but it looks pretty light. So let's darken that up. I'll bring it up to like 80. Click OK. Now any element that comes into our model is considered an underlay element. Now the next thing I want to do is bring in that structural model. However, I want the grids in this model turned off. So let's go to our visibility graphic overrides. In our properties, let's go to visibility graphic overrides and click the edit button right here. Let's click on the Revit links tab. Notice we can turn on or off the architectural model in this view and this view only, right? Visibility graphic override for floor plan 1 power, just this view. I want to keep it turned on, but my display setting, let's go to our host view. And I want our basics to be custom. Let's go to annotation categories. In the annotation categories, let's go custom. Now let's scroll down till we find grids and just uncheck it. Click apply. Click OK. Click apply. Now notice that if we go to annotation categories here, grids are still turned on. We can see the grids in our model, just not in that link. Click OK. Now let's go back to the Insert tab. Let's go to Link Revit. Let's grab our structural model. Auto internal origin to internal origin. Click Open. The architectural link is set for overlay, and we'll take a look at that in a second. Click Close. Now hover over this grid here. Select the structural link and let's pin that. Escape a couple times. Now let's go back to our visibility graphics. Click the edit button right here, or you could type VG for visibility graphic overrides. Scroll down to Site. Site's turned on, but let's click the plus sign next to it. Let's turn on our internal origin. Click Apply. Click OK. Now, if we zoom into our internal origin, it's nice if that's in the corner of a building. However, what you need to see is these origins that are lined up. That's exactly what you want to have happen. You can turn that back off, so we can go back to Edit for visibility graphic overrides. Scroll out the site. Drill into it. Let's turn our internal origin off. Click Apply. Click OK. Hit Escape a few times. Now, what I'd like to do is let's scroll down in the project browser. Notice we have Revit links. Click the little plus sign next to that. We have architectural and we have structural. Right click on Revit links. Let's go to Manage Links. Notice architectural and structural are here. The reference type is overlay, which means that you're not going to see it if you link another model into your model. For example, architectural is linked in the structural. When we link structural, it said you're not going to see architectural because it's set for overlay. I like to set the path type for relative. That way, if you copy the file somewhere or send them to someone, if they're in the same folder, they'll show up. We could reload them, unload them, add a new one here, or remove them in its entirety. Hit OK here. Hit Escape a couple times. There you go. That's how you link Revit models. One item that I'm sure is on the exam is going to be copy monitor. This is a very important part of Revit. It's important because of the fact that we can actually monitor specific elements that we suspect might move in the model or link it in. One good example are levels and grids. When we link in an architectural model, there are going to be levels that we simply do not have. We need to physically copy these levels into our project so we can set up our plans. And the great thing is we can copy them in such a way that Revit will monitor these items. If the architect moves a level or an engineer moves a grid, the next time we reload or open that model, we'll get a coordination alert stating that a level or grid is moved. So to get started, let's jump into Revit. Under Models, let's go Open. Browse for keeping your exercise files in Chapter 1. I'll open up my 0103 copy monitor. Click Open. So notice that we have floor plans 1 and 2. These are pretty random. They were here before we brought any architectural structural model in. So how could Revit know? So if I zoom into this elevation marker here, I want to go to my self-elevation. Just double click on this. You need to be in an elevation or a section to do this. Let's zoom into this area over here. We have a lot of levels. I actually like to see this because I like the fact that our levels are lined up. I do want to turn off my structural levels. Let's go to our visibility graphic overrides again. In the properties, let's go visibility graphic overrides. Let's click edit. Let's go to Revit links. Now for our structural, let's click where it says by host view. For the custom and annotation categories, let's go to custom. Let's go down to levels and just uncheck it. Click apply. Click OK. Click apply. Click OK. It's a little clearer. We won't grab all of these. But what I want to do is I want to select level 2 here. I want to drag that out a bit, just like that. Notice that when you select it, you can grab that little grip. That little grip allows you to pull it out a little bit. Hit escape a couple times. Now, clearly we have a bust. I want level 2 to be up to that level 2, because if we hover over this level 2, that's our architectural level. Let's align level 2. Go to the Modify tab, click Align, select level 2, which is the destination. Select this level 2, which is the object we physically want to move to our destination. Do not pin it. Now we're going to align 18 feet, 18 feet. Hit escape a few times. Now what we're going to do, we're going to monitor these two levels. Then we're going to come up to our roof level. We're going to copy monitor that 74 foot. Let's come down to level 2. Let's go to the Collaborate tab. Let's go to Copy Monitor. Let's select Link. I like to hover over the link and pause for a second just to make sure you got the right one. Linked Revit Models, Architectural Revit. Perfect. Pick it. Now, on the Tools panel, click Monitor. Hover over this level 2. Pick it. Hover over the same spot. Pick that. Let's zoom out. Let's pan in. Notice that we have a little heartbeat icon, which means that it's being monitored. Perfect. Now let's come up to our roof level. It's a little bit congested, but I know it's that 74-foot one. In this case, I want to click Copy. We don't need multiple because there's only one. Select the roof level. We have two level heads that are named the same, so it just renamed one. I don't really like that, but can't avoid it. So I'm going to close out of here. Now we're done doing that, so let's just click Finish. Hit escape a couple times. Now let's go back down to our one power. Let's pan into this area here. Let's zoom over. I want all these grids. So on Collaborate, we'll go Copy Monitor, select Link. I'm going to hover over this grid, pause for a second, make sure it says structural.rvt, pick it. I'm going to click Copy. This time I'm going to click Multiple. Hold down your Control key and just pick a little window around these items here. Pick a window around all these items here. I'm just going to come in and individually pick these ones here. I like it. Now, sometimes I make the mistake of clicking this finish. Don't do it. Click this one first. Then Revit gets confused and it loses it for a second. But notice that we still have these two temporary tabs. Let's go to our Copy Monitor tab. And let's click the green finish checkmark. Escape a few times. Now if you hover over this grid, you can move our grids down or up. There they are. They're in the right spot. That's how we copy, monitor, levels, and grids. There may be a time where you can't find a plan view in the project browser, but know there's a corresponding level. Also, if the level's been copied using the Copy Monitor function, Revit does not automatically add it to the project browser. You gotta do that manually. You'll also need to allocate the discipline as well as the subdiscipline. So in Revit, on our models, let's go Open. Browse for keeping your exercise files in chapter 1. I'll grab the 01_04 floor plans. Click Open. Let's go back to our south elevation. So I'm gonna zoom into here. I'm gonna double click on my little arrow here. And we'll open up our south electrical elevation. Now something I find interesting, if we zoom into here, we see our roof level, but notice that the parapet's blue and the roof is black. Okay? So these levels that are blue, we'll go down to our level 1. We have a level 1. It corresponds with these 1s and 2s, and we'll deal with that in a minute. If we come up to our roof level, notice that we have our roof, however, there's no corresponding view because that's black. So to add the view, let's go to the View tab. Let's click on the Plan View drop-down, and we can add a couple different types of views. In this case, I want to add a floor plan. Now, any levels that are missing a corresponding view in the project browser will show up right here. If you see nothing here, you can uncheck Duplicate Views. You can make a fresh view. So I'm going to click on Do Not Duplicate Views, and our roof level is just sitting there. So click OK. Here's our roof level. Let's go back to our south elect. Now that's blue, indicating that there's a floor plan. But where could it possibly be? No clue. So what we can do, if we scroll up our project browser, let's search for it. So electrical, power, mechanical, if you see, oh, here it is, roof. It just randomly wound up being here. So what we want to do is, let's open up our roof plan. Now in our properties, let's do some stuff. I'm going to scroll down my properties till I get down to identity data. For our view template, it says mechanical plan. I want to turn that off. We're going to look at view templates in a later video. Click mechanical plan. I want it to be electrical plan, but in this case, I'm going to click none. And we'll click OK. Now, I want to right click on roof. Now I want to apply template properties. Notice that we have an electrical plan, so select electrical plan, then click OK. Now let's scroll up. Power floor plans, 1 power, 2 power, roof. Now what happens is, if we right click and rename this view, we'll call it 3 space hyphen roof. I want to call this power. And if we hit enter, would you like to rename corresponding levels of views? No, we don't want to do that. That's our roof level. We don't want that to say roof power. So click no. Undo it. Right click on roof. Let's duplicate view. I'll just duplicate it with detailing, which means it's going to bring back all of our annotations. Now we can rename this wherever we want, but it seems confusing because our roof power is here. So what we'll do on this is, for our roof, I'm going to come up and I'm going to set this to coordination. I want to move it out of this area. For discipline, instead of electrical, we'll click the drop down and we're going to call it coordination. For our sub-discipline, we'll keep it on power, click apply. It pulls it out of there. Now if we scroll up, we have a coordination plan, which is good. Now we can right click and we can rename this. We'll call it 3 roof. We'll call it power. Now notice it doesn't rename the corresponding view. That's the safe way to do it. There you have it. That's how you add a view to a model. Once an architectural element such as the level is being monitored, one would assume that there would be some sort of notification telling us that the element being monitored has in fact been breached. There is. Let's check it out. In this video, I'd like to play Architect, then we'll fix our model to conform to the random pickings of the architect played by you. Okay, so on our models, let's go open. Let's grab the architectural model. Let's click open. Okay, we're the architect. I want to move a level. So we go to our south elevation, just like we did in our model. Let's double click on our south elevation. Like, whoa, why is that 18 feet? So, all right. Unbeknownst to me, I have all the trades that deal with this. So I'm going to select level 2. Instead of my 18 feet, I'm going to go down to like a random 12 feet. So I'm going to blow up my stairs and stuff, but we don't care. Oh, yeah, I did it. Set components and multi-sorter are updated due to the level height change. Yeah, I felt that. So close out of there. Let's zoom out. Let's just simply save this model. No idea what we just did to the other trades. Okay, so we're gonna close out of here. We're gonna close out of here. Now on the model, let's go open. Notice it makes a backup. That's alright. I'll delete that later. Browser, we're keeping your exercise files. Chapter 1. A little 1-5 coordination. Open that. Uh-oh. Instance of leaked file needs coordination review. Well, click expand. What's the warning? Let's check it out. Oh, so something's wrong with the leaked Revit model architectural one. If you click it, you can delete it. Don't ever do that. So just uncheck it. Click OK. So what's wrong? I don't know. Let's go to our self-elevation. Huh. Got a problem here. So I'm going to select our architectural link. Now we have a coordination review on the monitor panel. Go ahead and click that. 6 feet. Wow. So levels maintain position. Level moved by 6 feet. So click the little plus next to it. If you select that, architectural levels up, highlights it. Click this one, highlights that as well. What are we going to do? For the action, click into here. Click the drop down. We can reject it. We can accept the difference. Gotta move it. So let's go to move level 2. Click apply. Okay. Whew. Glad we caught that. And skip a few times. Now our level 2 is moved safely down to where the architect's level 2 is. There you go. That's how you provide a coordination review. Please don't ignore that dialogue if it comes up at your firm. One of the biggest reasons we use Revit is the fact that multiple people can work in the same model at the same time. The end of that statement is kind of misleading though. We're not actually in the same model. When Workshare is activated, that means there's a central model on your server that you're making a copy of. That copy goes into your local documents folder. That copy has a link back to the central model on your server. When you save your model, it synchronizes the changes back to the central model. In this video, I'd like to run through the work sharing concepts as you create a central and local model. So in Revit on the model, let's go open. That's where you're keeping your exercise files. I'm going to go to chapter 1. Grab 0106 work sharing. Click open. Now, it doesn't matter what view we're in. I happen to be myself, the electrical view. If you're in the plan view, it doesn't matter. Let's go to the Collaborate tab. Let's click the Collaborate button. Now, we can either do within your network or in the cloud. In the cloud would be BIM 360. We'll go within our network. Click OK. Nothing seems to have happened, but let's click our Save button. Uh-oh. Save file essential model. Yep, this is the first time that project's been saved since worksheet was enabled. This project will therefore become a central model. Yes, click yes. And notice the save icon is gray, and we now have a synchronize option. What I want to do though is let's go to our work sets. In this case, tiered levels of grids. I want to not make that editable, so let's click no. Workset 1, before we click no, notice that you're the owner of the workset. We don't want that to be the case. We want to have borrowers. That means if I own this workset, no one else can edit any elements on workset 1. Every element in our model right now has been moved to workset 1, so we don't want that to be editable. Click OK. Now we can synchronize those changes. Click Synchronize Now. Now, if that dialog doesn't come up, we can click the little drop down next to it. Notice you have Synchronize and Modify Settings. You might have written this. We can just click OK here. Nothing to do. Let's go back into worksets. I mentioned that everything's on workset 1. That needs a little more explanation, right? So what happens is, Revit's broken down into worksets. So shared levels and grids, clearly levels and grids are not there. It's pretty descriptive. Workset 1's not. We can make tons of work sets and put other elements on those specific work sets. One of the most popular things to put on the work set would be a link model. So what I want to do now, let's just go to new. Enter work set name, so let's select an architectural link. Let's click OK. Let's add another new one. Put it on structural link. Let's click OK. We'll keep these editable for now. Click OK. If you want to make the structural link work set the active no, click no. Because what happens is you'll see down here, work set 1 is the current work set, right? You can see it up here too. Anything we model, it's almost like AutoCAD where it puts it on work set 1. We don't want it on the link work set. But what we can do is let's come over here. I'm going to select the architectural link. And in my properties for work set 1, instead of work set 1, we'll click the drop down, we'll put it on architectural link and click apply. Hit escape a couple times. Let's go down to one of our floor plans. Down to one power. Notice that when you hover over this grid, it selects our grid. But if we hover over it again, hit tab once, pause for a second. Let's select our structural link. For the work set, let's click the drop down here. Let's put it on the structural link, click apply. And escape a few times. Now let's scroll down in our project browser. Let's right click on Revit links. Let's go to manage links. If work sets were turned on in these links, we would be able to turn off the work sets in this model, but these are turned off. That's okay. We'll look at that in another model. So let's click OK. Let's click the little synchronize drop down. Let's go synchronize now. And another thing we can do, we can synchronize here. If we go to the collaborate tab, we could have reloaded the latest, or we can relinquish everything. So let's go to our work sets. These are editable. Let's click OK here. Let's click relinquish all 9. Hopefully that'll change it. If not, we'll just have to manually do it. Go back to work sets. Notice that these are all not editable. That's exactly what we want. We want to relinquish our work sets. That way, when another user comes into this model, we don't own those elements. Click OK. Synchronize one more time. Let's close out of this model. Now notice in your recent files, we have a little icon here, which indicates that this is the central model. Okay, for models, let's go open. You can either click it here, or I just want to go open. Notice that there is a backup folder. And if we select our work sharing model, we can create a new local. Let's make sure create new local is checked on. Now for open, let's click the little drop down here. We can either open all of them, or if we go down to specify, click open. Now we have a choice of what work set we want to open. Say, for example, we don't want the structural link. So let's close that. Now click OK. There's no structural model in here. All right, so if we scroll down in our properties, notice that structural is not loaded. If we right click on Revit links, go to manage links, we'll see the status is in closed work set. Right? If we hit OK, we can always right click on this and reload it. So right click, let's just simply reload it. Now it's going to show back up. Notice now we can save locally or we can synchronize. Let's click on synchronize now. Close out of our floor plan here. Let's open our architectural model. You can just open it right from here, right? It's one of our recent files. Let's go to level 1. On the floor plan, let's go level 1. Let's scroll down to the bottom of our project browser. Right click on Revit links. Let's go new link. Let's grab 0106 work sharing. Auto internal origin to internal origin. We'll click open. Now we know that the structural link's linked into there. It's set as an overlay so we won't see it. We know what that means now. Click close. Now it might be hard to find though. I'm gonna hover over grid A and hit tab once. Notice that our Revit links are set here. So click that. And of course we're always gonna want to pin it. Let's hit escape a couple times. Let's right click on Revit links. Let's go to manage links. Now if we select work sharing, notice down on the bottom we can click manage work sets. I don't really want to see shared levels and grids. There's no but open. Let's just click close right here. Let's reload it. And we're not going to see those annoying grids from that model ever again. Click close here. Click OK. And all set. It's how you set up work sharing. Sometimes it's hard to tell what is circuited and what is not. It'd be cool if Revit had a way to make any electrical fixture that isn't circuited show up as red. Actually, yeah, Revit can do that. So let's just do it. Let's jump into Revit. Under models, let's go open. That's where you're keeping your exercise files. I'm going to go to chapter 1. I'll grab 0107 filters and we click open. Not sure what view use is going to open up with, but let's just make sure that we go down through electrical, power, floor plans, with under one power. Zoom into this area here. Clearly these are not a circuit. They're going to power panel 1, circuit 1. These, however, are not. So let's make these red. In the properties, let's go to visibility graphic overrides and click the edit button right here. Let's go to filters. Let's create a new filter. So let's go down to edit new. Now for our filters over here, we're going to click on new. We'll call it not on circuit. And we'll click OK. Select not on circuit. For the filter list, you can uncheck everything but electrical. That makes it easier for you. Let's scroll down till we find electrical fixtures. Let's scroll down till we find lighting fixtures. Now, let's come over here. A lot of rules we can do. We already have a rule started, so I'll select it from here. Let's click the drop down here. And let's see here. Let's see what we've got. Well, let's just go to circuit number. We know you're never going to have a circuit number 0, right? So let's click the drop down here. Let's go is less than, let's type in 1. Now, I'm sure there's a few other combinations we could do to get this, but is less than 1. Click apply. Click OK. Now, it doesn't just show up. We got to come down here and click add. Not on circuit is available. So click OK. Now, we'll enable the filter. We'll turn the visibility so we're going to see it, right? We don't want to turn them off because then it's going to actually make those receptacles disappear. But for the lines, let's click into here. Let's go to override. For the color, red is bad, right? So click OK. Click OK. Click apply. Click OK. Now, these are circuited, these are not. So if I select this receptacle, create a power circuit, we're going to do this, of course, in a later video. PP1, right? That's circuited. These are not. There you go. It's a quick video on how to create filters.